It's time to get down to business on TK Business Live, brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association. Now, let's join Tara Dimmick, owner and publisher of TK Business Magazine, as we take a look into the business world of Topeka, Kansas.
Hi, and welcome to TK Business Live. I'm Tara Dimmick, and it is great to be with you this Sunday. I have two wonderful guests joining me today. Patricia Miller will be first up coming into the studio, and she is the owner and innkeeper of the Barn Bed and Breakfast over in Valley Falls, Kansas. And we're going to talk a little bit about the business and what her business has, how it's grown and where she's at today. And also, find a little bit out about what it's like to run a family business, because her business is a family business. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the importance of getting off-site to have your next retreat or training. And of course, the barn is a great facility for doing that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the value of that off-site training or retreat location. And then I have Elmer Robinson joining me. And Elmer is with the First Tee of Shawnee County and also Community Action. And we're talking about the value that golf brings for youth and some of the pieces of training that golf has that correlates directly with life and even with business, and how to make youth more successful as they move forward in their future. I have Patricia Miller joining me. She is the owner and innkeeper of the Barn Bed and Breakfast Inn in Valley Falls, Kansas. Welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Yes, it's great to have you. Okay, so I'm sure people are going, okay, hold on. Why are you having Valley Falls on? And it's because you cater to a lot of businesses that are right here in Topeka and have a great service for you. But before we get into that, I really just want to learn more about what you do and the barn and what it offers. So tell me the story.
Great. Well, the barn is a bed and breakfast that opened in 1986, and we're unique in that in the early 80s, my father, Tom Ryan, decided to renovate an old hog barn after he went out of the hog and pig farrowing business. And a lot of people thought he was crazy, including my mother. But it was a project. My dad's always been known for someone tells him that project will never work. Well, he has to prove them wrong. So we started out as a family renovating this old barn. And when we made it livable and got it livable, we all moved in as a family. Well, my older siblings started to leave home. There was four of us kids. And my sister and I were left, and my folks who had been farming, and the farming industry was declining, especially for a small family farm. They were looking for an alternate income. And my aunt, who was a flight attendant, came for a visit and said, well, you have all these extra bedrooms, all this big living space. Have you ever thought about a bed and breakfast? And my folks, being farmers, were like, well, what's a bed and breakfast? So they did a little research, found out there were a couple other inns in the state of Kansas at the time. And they contacted one of the innkeepers and said, teach us how to be innkeepers. We want to try this business venture.
Oh, wow.
And so they opened in 1986 with 9 guest rooms. And, it went from continental breakfast to no supper starting out. And then shortly, a couple weeks and months after being in business, we realized that the small community we lived in didn't have really a good eating establishment. So we started serving our guests a home-cooked meal when they checked in, as well as then started giving them a full breakfast the next morning. And so the business sort of evolved by us listening to our guests, what they wanted, what their experience was going to be, why they were there. And we just, being good listeners, created the environment for my parents to just kind of uniquely develop this business. And so 3 years later, from 9 guest rooms, we went up to a total of 20, added meeting space, more guest rooms, a larger dining room, an indoor heated pool, hot tub, and then really became sort of like a little destination for people just to come for the weekend. And once they came and checked in, they really didn't have to go anywhere else. We met all their needs until they checked out.
Oh, wow. That sounds fabulous. Okay, so how many rooms do you have now?
We currently have 20 guest rooms.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm capping it at that. That's enough work.
That is a lot of work. That's a lot of work. Now, you're in family business. So Tell me about the family business side of all this, and who's now in charge and part of the family business?
I unfortunately have lost both of my parents, the original innkeepers, Tom and Marcella Ryan. I've lost them in the last year and a half.
I'm sorry.
And my dad, most recently in November, he retired last June of 2015, and I came in and took over the business for him because I was the only kid interested out of us 4 siblings rather. And then he passed away in November. And he had set it up so when he passed, I became the new owner and carried on the family tradition. And, I do so with great pride, and it actually provides me some comfort, too, after having so quickly lost both of my parents, to kind of continue the work that was so meaningful to them. And I should go back. I started out cleaning toilets, making beds, moved up into the kitchen, then eventually managed the business 11 years. And so I knew a lot about the business to start with, so it wasn't easy it wasn't hard at all to transition back into that. But being an owner, wearing that hat was a whole new experience. And so I just took it one day at a time. And thankfully, my dad had imparted a lot of wisdom and business experience to me, and had a lot of really good notes that I could refer back to. If this happens, do this. If that happens, do that. So that made it real easy.
Well, we were talking before about, when your parents own a business, how that kind of molds you into a little bit different person, and it gives you insight at a very young age of what work is.
Yes, and innkeeping is a 24/7 job. It really is, and you just have to carve out personal time for yourself. Fortunately, I'm surrounded by wonderful, dependable employees that can come in if I need to take the day off to run errands or just take a personal day for whatever reason. I do that, and if we don't necessarily have guests every single day of the week, in the summer we can, or we'll have maybe a retreat that'll come in for several days, but then I take my 1 day off or 2 days off here and there when I can do it. And there's just flexibility in being self-employed, too, that you don't get with an 8-to-5 job, which is kind of neat. Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate that. And then, working with family, you have to be on the same team. And some families can't work together and some can. I'm really fortunate that my husband works for me part-time, or I should say with me part-time, because we're definitely in this together. But he works for the Postal Service, too. And then I have a sister-in-law that she works for me part-time, and she's a massage therapist. So she provides massage therapy for my business, for our couples that come in, as well as another part-time therapist. And then both of my children work for me, as well as some local high school students. So I have a great pool and resources to draw from, and they all understand the concept of we want to provide great hospitality, give our folks coming to the barn a great experience. And so that makes it easy then when you have a great team of workers like that.
That is incredible business insight that you just shared. I mean, both sides of it. The truth of a business owner is that you work all the time. Mm-hmm. You work all the time. You're on all the time. But the power of the flexibility is so highly valued that you're okay to work all the time, because at least you can have a little bit of control of when you're not working.
Absolutely.
A little bit of control.
Yes. And you do. If I see that I'm booked solid for 3 or 4 days in a row, and I look at myself and staff and say, okay, well, we just maybe won't take any guests on Sunday night because, well, we didn't have any reservations anyway, or we'll just have to pick that evening to be closed. But, it's very hard to say no to a couple that wants to come, and very often they need that getaway, or that group needs to be there at that specific time. So it's just really watching yourself and making sure you're not overworking, and I think that is kind of what a successful self-employed business person does, is your limitations, what you can do, and asking for help when you need it. And so I think those are all important things to have.
Well, and I go back to a couple things you said, listening to the customer, mm-hmm. just always listening and molding your business to fit what the customer needs, because it's what matters to them, right? It's their perception that matters the most. So that's another key one. Okay, so I want to talk, we kind of got connected when we were talking about what a business could do at your location. So talk a little bit maybe of some examples or what a business could be thinking about as they're prepping for a retreat or some kind of training. How could they?
In the late 1990s and kind of early 2000, we were a very popular location for business retreats. They'd come out for leadership retreats. They said coming to a country rural setting where there wasn't a lot of distractions helped their employees or their team members focus on what they really wanted to get out of that retreat. And so we did a lot of leadership workshops where people came in, booked all 20 rooms. We gave them breakfast, lunch, and supper. They had all their sessions in between that time. They'd use our beautiful grounds for outside activities. And then when the evening or the day was over, after supper, they would socialize with a glass of wine, swim, sit out on the deck or patio area. And it was just a relaxed environment. And people would check out, and the group leaders would check out of these retreats and say, we just got so much accomplished. Thank you for providing a space that was so conducive for people to kind of just get out of that, official office setting and just really focus on the things at hand that we wanted to discuss and help improve our relationships as a business with each other, or future goals for a company, and getting away helped us do that. And then in 2008, businesses really had to kind of suck it up a little bit.
Right, that was where they tightened.
They tightened. They didn't have the funds to do these things. And then about a year or two ago, we started seeing these businesses start to come back. Universities coming to our facility for retreats from different departments. The state of Kansas, coming out, different departments coming out for retreats. And then small businesses from around Northeast Kansas using us. And so that got me excited because, I remember those businesses coming and then they didn't have the funds to come. Now I think the economy is showing some signs that businesses do have a little surplus, and let's use it on reinvesting in our staff. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm hoping to see a lot more of that as we go forward.
Well, that is really exciting. And I do a lot of strategic planning and work with clients. And I know that if we are in a outside location, mm-hmm. and if we do not have distractions, we get 10 times more done, more than that, than if we break. I mean, even
Yes.
the break in the evening at 5 o'clock that says, okay, guys, go off and do your own thing. There's something about that team building that happens between 5 and 9 p.m. or 5 and 11 p.m. that it sometimes makes the entire trip worth it.
Yeah, it's almost like they kind of get to know each other more personally, and you start sharing some personal things that keep everyone on that human level that we're all connected with. We all have a story.
Yeah.
And you can become even more sensitive to a coworker and what their needs are and vice versa if we're all kind of connecting on that human level. And sometimes in an office setting, it may be really formal and you can't really, I don't want to say let your hair down, but really have a heart-to-heart conversation maybe. That going to a retreat site would definitely provide.
It does. I just heard a story of a woman was telling a story in a training I was at, and she was talking about how she had a coworker that they had worked together for 5 years, and finally, in an outside setting, she found out they're from the same city in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Or from the same suburb in Chicago. And they had all this time together, and they were different ages, so they didn't have but they had so many connections and shared history that they didn't even realize for 5 years of working together. They didn't realize that. So these retreats are so powerful, and having a location like yours is invaluable. Okay, so a few kind of pieces of it. So we know that you can accommodate 20.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have 20 guest rooms,
so really
we can handle, if you want one person to a room, that's 20 people. But we do have some rooms that sleep more, have 2 beds and can accommodate more than just one person to a room. Usually our professional groups, they don't necessarily share rooms unless it's 2 females or 2 males together in separate beds. And, a lot of people, if they know each other well enough, are comfortable to do that. So we can handle up to, 20 to 30 and sometimes 40 people, depending on the nature of the retreat and who's gathering together.
Awesome. Okay, and then how does someone connect with you? How do they set this up? What's kind of the process that you like to go through?
They can call our number. They can go to our website. I check email constantly. They can email. And so, www.thebarnbb.com, or call our phone number, 785-945-3225. And they connect with me. I see what their needs are, and then I tell them how we can meet their needs. I tell them what's going to, what the price is. And, those are all the traditional things that they ask when we try to set something up for them. And if I can't help them, then what I do is I try to recommend them to someone else maybe in the area that has a meeting space. Like we were full last week for a group in Topeka that wanted to come up. So we have a winery that opened up in our area recently, and I know they have meeting space. So I said, hey, why not try the meeting space at the winery? It's out in the country, beautiful setting, and see if they can't help you out. So I really, I try to be as helpful as possible. If we can't help you, get someone that can. And so I work on that too. And I really try to network with people in our area. It's not just about us and our business, because we realize all the businesses in the Jefferson County area can benefit from guests coming to stay with us. They buy gas if they're coming up to see us, if they might have to pick something up at the grocery store. Maybe they want to go in town to see the antique store, or, whatever it may be. But it's I do try to network with the other businesses in the area.
That's excellent. Okay, so give me the website one more time so that people can hear it.
It's www.thebarnbb.com. And then from our website, you can email us with questions.
Awesome. And I went and checked it out, and there are so many great pictures, so you can really get an idea of what the facility looks like. You can see the swimming pool, the hot tub.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place, beautiful outdoor setting, and the facility is gorgeous. So, Patricia, thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been a great experience. And, like I said, just have people, if people listening want to call and get some more information, just do that through our website.
Yeah, please do that. Think about it. What do you got planned for the holidays? What do you have planned for your retreat? Are you thinking about what your strategic plan is for 2017? And when do you need to get that scheduled? Because most of you are thinking about that right now, whether it's with your board or whether it's with like a nonprofit board that you serve on. This is a great opportunity to get that scheduled, and probably sooner than later, knowing your schedule and how it books up.
Yes, we are. We have some openings for the fall for business retreats, but we're booking up every day. We have usually a new group that's calling and planning, so probably still have some openings for the fall of this year. Maybe a couple openings during the week in the summer, but predominantly they probably are. We're going to probably direct them to next year. Spring of next year. So
that is exciting. Always exciting to do
absolutely.
Business. So again, that was Patricia Miller. She's the owner and innkeeper of the Barn Bed and Breakfast in Valley Falls. Thanks again, Patricia.
Thank you.
What is TKIBA? TKIBA is advice and support. TKIBA is information and education. TKIBA is a voice for small business.
My name is Tim Royer, and I work for Fidelity State Bank and Trust as a commercial officer. The exposure that I have to people thinking differently than the way I think about my job, just seeing the perspective from somebody else's point of view, is enormously beneficial.
The Topeka Independent Business Association is strong because of its members. Become a member today by visiting TopekaTIBA.org.
I have Elmer Robinson with me. He is with First Tee of Shawnee County. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. So, okay, I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but I have to do this. So tell a little bit about your background, because it's kind of awesome.
Oh, gosh. No, you didn't tell me you were going to do that.
It's kind of awesome.
I am a jock.
He's a jock, kind of. How tall are you?
About 6'6".
6'6".
6'6". And interestingly enough, did not play golf when I grew up, if you can imagine that. And I'm the executive.
Do you have to have special golf clubs for 6'6"?
Well, mine are an inch longer than standard.
Okay.
I've got long arms, so don't have to have that much done to the clubs to accommodate. But yeah, I did not play golf early on. I was a basketball player and a baseball player. I played professionally out of high school, baseball, that is, in the New York Yankees.
Wow, right out of high school. I didn't know that.
Right out of high school, yeah. It was a short-lived experience, but
still cool.
It was right about the time that I started to sort of fiddle around with golf. So as a pitcher, which is what I did, lots of opportunities to golf. So I enjoyed the golf. And I played basketball at Iowa State University in the late 80s, early 90s.
So you went back to wait, hold on. How did that work? I don't think I ever actually put that all together.
Well, I got drafted out of high school to play with the Yankees, and I went to their rookie season right out of high school. The agreement with them was that I'd be allowed to go back to school or go to school and participate in college basketball. So I did that, and at the end of my 4 years of playing college basketball, I went back to the Yankees to resume my career. And that's why it was a little bit short-lived. You can't, at that stage, we were talking earlier before we were on air, that, you at some point you specialize. And if I had specialized at that point, probably would not be sitting here today, because you just get better with repetition and the effort to improve on certain things. And I just didn't have that during that interim. I was focused on basketball. So when I got back involved in baseball, it was not very good.
Well, I'm sure it was still, highly better than most of us, but just maybe not to continue. So that is a really cool. So how did you get connected with First Tee? How did that come about?
Well, I started with Community Action, who actually is the First Tee of Shawnee County. The agreement with the World Golf Foundation was with Community Action to open up programming in 2007. And at the time, I was employed for Community Action for a program called Project Attention. My supervisor and I knew that we both enjoyed the game, and that the game had benefit, just outside of the sheer pleasure of it, and thought, what we could do with this program for the youth in Shawnee County, and how we can use it to improve lives and teach kids how to, gain confidence. And with Community Action's main purpose is to combat poverty, we thought, well, you know what? You give a kid some confidence, that's a tool right there by itself that can help combat poverty. So we decided to start the chapter, and that's sort of how I got involved.
That's cool. So you started kind of talking a little bit about First Tee, and you said something to me that was very profound. So can you remember that? No, I'm kidding. When we first met, and it was something to the effect of what a golf game is, and kind of those pieces of just one step after another to get to the success, and how it takes time, and how similar life and golf are. And I haven't been able to kind of forget about that. That's been very, very much what I see when I see First Tee and why it's important. But talk a little bit about what is First Tee. What is it for? How is it helping the students of Shawnee County and kids in Shawnee County that are a part of it?
It's when I talk about it, I get excited about that aspect of it. What it can actually do for a kid. There's so many things that we do on a daily basis in our lives. And individual accountability is not something that kids are sort of inherently willing, to have. But the way our program and our curriculum is taught, it's all about that kid experiencing, ups and downs, and the process of the journey. And so, for a kid to become involved in that program, and to walk from developing an idea, having a dream, setting a goal, and then taking all the steps to achieve that goal. To me, it's the most amazing transformation to see a young person learn those skills. And then we're starting them at age 7. And if a kid is working at age 7 on those sorts of skills, how far ahead he or she is going to be when that time comes for them to have those, life-altering decisions. So right. For me, that's what the First Tee is really all about for me. It's giving kids a leg up, giving them an opportunity to realize that you really do control your destiny. A lot of kids think that they don't really have the control that they do. You have a lot of adults that are running around that think that way. And I just think this is the sort of tool that, I know at home with my son, I'm teaching it every day. And, every now and then he'll throw me a little nugget where it's clear to me that he's understanding, I guess I could have controlled that outcome if I had done X, Y, Z, instead of what I wound up doing. So I think that's really the value of the program. So
how, obviously we're a business show and I'm bringing you guys on, and part of it's just because I find it to be a really good program. I think that it's something that is teaching future business leaders and hopefully teaching future business leaders who maybe were kids that didn't think they had a future in business, and all of a sudden they now do. And that's why I get excited about it. But, what work is going on with the community and getting businesses involved, and what do you see for the future of First Tee?
Well, I think the business community should just embrace the program because, if you own and operate a business, who wouldn't want, a person that comes in the door fully understanding his or her role and fully understanding that they really have to fulfill that role in order for them to have, true value in that company. So we're working really hard at all sorts of ways to develop kids as entrepreneurs. In fact, the First Tee has advanced leadership opportunities that the kids can travel to throughout the country. Auntie Ann does an Entrepreneur and Leadership Academy. Coca-Cola does a Future Leaders Academy. And they get connected with some of, the heavyweights in business that teach them, what does it mean to be a part of a big business, and what do you need to do to make sure that when you are there, you're ready to excel, not just to fill a role or a spot, but to excel and help that company grow. So they're teaching kids on a very deep level as to how to perform and be a part of a business and a bigger picture.
Well, that's really exciting. Well, any last thoughts that you have that you'd like to share about First Tee or about your past career?
I just we're sort of in an expansion phase right now. You had Steve on earlier, our new program coordinator. I just, when you think about the work that Community Action does in the poverty sector and what we're trying to do as we take kids and families out of poverty, I believe the work is very, very important. And I would love for businesses to get involved and understand, hey, proactive programming is a great thing. We don't have to wait, until people are so downtrodden that, we're just putting, little Band-Aids on bigger issues. Let's get them now. Let's build them up now. Let's give them a chance now so that they can actually be a part of the community that's productive. And those are the ones that understand they have to give back.
Right.
So that's what I'm hopeful for. And hopefully that, businesses get behind it. Folks come out and volunteer. And,
I think it sounds like fun to volunteer. It sounds like a great.
It is a blast.
Who doesn't want to volunteer to play golf and help others?
Blast. You're absolutely right.
So before I let you go, how can they get more information about First Tee of Shawnee County? You
can go to our website. We do have a website that's www.thefirstteeshawneecounty, all one word, .org. You can go to Community Action's website as well, wefightpoverty.org. There'll be information there. You can always give me a call at 235-9296 and love to talk about the program every opportunity we get. There's lots of resources on the national website, which is just thefirstTee.org. All great resources, but we'd love to have folks call and just ask questions. I mean, I think the more we can let people know what we're doing, the better opportunity we have to be able to connect and partner with people. Awesome. Elmer, it was great having you on the show. Hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining Tara and her guests on TK Business Live. Join us again next Sunday at 11:30 to hear more from our community business leaders, entrepreneurs, and people making a difference in the landscape of how business is progressively moving forward in Topeka. TK Business Live is brought to you by the members of the Topeka Independent Business Association.